do forgive me if you hear background noise, but we're going to vocalize the next episode rather than have you read copious amounts of text. So let's have some fun with this. Episode 2 literally opens up with a dead face on a corpse that then pans out to show Doom Guy wielding his shotgun in hand, having to navigate through this Phobos base, with the majority of the crew on the base deceased and many more thankfully evacuated before the invasion began. Doom Guy has his sights set on getting down to the Alpha Labs. To reach the Alpha Labs, or in this case the command center from the first game, Doom Guy must first destroy all remaining recently turned and possessed UAC members and faculty.
Marine, if you run across any operational sentry bots, use them. Those guys pack a lot of firepower.
It is at that moment where I would have the sort of side-eye look that he gives, a close-up to just his eyes, and then he just shrugs his shoulders like, okay, why not? And then we get to the
UAC is here to help you.
Then we get to the sentry bots that are not only super handy, but also kind of cute. They are killer robots with heavy, fully automatic weaponry, and are more than competent enough with distinguishing what is human DNA, biologically speaking, and what is possessed human DNA, which is the threat.
Marine, you gotta get to Bravo team quickly. They need all the firepower they can get. Sending that transmission is critical to our survival.
Now, Marine Command is either going to be about as charming as Anya from the original Gears of War games, or they would quickly become kind of annoying. But I'd say a balance between informative and entertaining is having them act more like Batgirl from the Arkham games, or instead of, if you don't want to call it Batgirl, just call it Oracle. And the reason I say that is because at least Doom Guy isn't entirely alone. That way he has other people that he can work with. Because yes, he is arguably better off just working on his own, but for the sake of a show, it wouldn't kill anyone if he had just a little bit of a supporting cast assisting him as he goes through the UAC facility. So in order to get to Bravo team, who is on the same trail as his voyage is taking him, to do that he will need to acquire some heavier firepower. Now, I think, unless I'm mistaken, I've already picked up the rocket launcher, but here at the UAC administration, we hear the truth revealed.
I don't think you understand, Dr. Betruger.
No, I understand everything.
I'm telling you now, Doctor, the UAC is taking over this operation.
Operation? Is that what you're calling it?
The situation is out of control.
It's not out of control, Swan. You are. I'll manage this, and you and your flunky will be taking control of nothing. Do you understand?
Yes, Betruger. I think I do understand.
Okay, Plan B.
Rolling how eyes about how obviously evil pretty much everybody is in the UAC. Doom Guy decides that he must stop whatever shady business that both Swan and Sarge are getting into, and figure out what Plan B is, how to possibly stop it if need be, and destroy the base. But in order to do that, he first must kill every imp, soldier, and whatever the hell also spawned from the Black Abyss in absolute style. Now, I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked at the footage that I have for Classic Doom in a little bit, but I don't remember if I got the rocket launcher or not. But the reason I brought it up is simple, and that is... Did I get you? Did I scare you? No? Okay, fine. think about the need to sort of have an escalation of what guns which guns Doomguy picks up at what points in time throughout the episodes. And this right here would be a critical piece as well.
Don't
Living
stop.
soldiers.
There's nothing you can do for me. They're all gone. Surprised us. They just came out of nowhere. There's still a few squads operating, but they're all cut off from each other. Try to find them.
Doomguy, ever the, let's say, secretive empath, chooses to not only comfort the soldier, even as he is sitting there and laying there dying. Instead, he chooses
Access
to
denied.
heed his words and search for Bravo. I think an emotional aspect of this show can definitely not only keep an audience invested, but also show that Doomguy's a lot more than just the mean green demon slaying machine. He's an actual human being who has a rather surprisingly high degree of compassion, considering how he treats Isabel. But I'd also wager that most folks would probably want to see every side of him. Yes, in the original games, in the original games, especially Doom, let's say Doom 2, after we found out everything he lost his hometown, he lost his wife, and he lost his friend. So to see just a humane aspect of a man who seeks to repent for what he has done to his commanding officer and to clear his name on Earth, this may be the best way to show that. It's kind of like what Nolan's doing right now in Invincible, actually taking accountability for his terrible actions. Imagine that. Now, of course, instead of zooming into the back of his head, it would actually be zoomed to his face, furrowing his brow and ultimately scowling at Swan and Sarge for whatever this plan B they have up their sleeve is supposed to be. So, he must continue to navigate throughout the facility if he is to find, take over, or destroy whatever their plan B idea is, and if he has to, destroy the UAC facility here on Phobos. If that's the only way to destroy or contain the demonic threat, then so be it. Okay, so hear me out. Instead of the Doom 3 version of the Pinky, I would venture so far as to say it would be a better scene if instead it had the Spectre. The Spectre just hitting its face on the glass, trying to break it, and Doomguy looking at it both a little tense and confused. Like, what the hell is that breaking glass? Then he's able to make out the outline of the Spectre's invisibility field. We'll just call it that. Seriously, I hate these things. They're gnarly and gross, but they work. But for the show, since Pinkies have already been introduced, I think it would only make sense to show the Spectre instead, and to show that he can actually see things that are invisible. At least very, very cautiously so. Then Doomguy sees it, the unthinkable. Some of the scientists, some of the people on this base have been actually using demonic summoning rituals to bring the Horde to the base. The foul whispers of the Dark Realm have corrupted some of the scientists, some of the personnel, to actually make it easy for Hell to slip onto Phobos and around Mars' entire environment. Not just Phobos, Deimos, and Mars, but also beyond. Seriously, what are the odds of us being able to go to Jupiter, or Saturn, or even Uranus for a future Doom game? Just go all around the solar system. That'd be crazy. Somewhat similar to how in Doom Classic, in Doom 3 we have all these screens that just say a bunch of stuff on them. Don't give us much information to work with. But in an animated show format, these should actually have either Easter eggs or something that actually contributes to the plot. That could be a nice little change of pace. Obviously, I don't have any means to log into the network. The whole station is locked, so this leaves Doom Guy with a limited range of options. He must go to the Alpha Labs, to the Delta Labs, and eventually make it to the Phobos Anomaly that all of this had originated on. So he has several layers that he must maneuver through if he is to succeed in stopping this invasion. I think it would be pretty emotionally striking to see that he returned to the giant elevator door only to see that this soldier that he had spoken to earlier, who fed him the location of Bravo team, had perished. And it would weigh on him that he needs to get this done now.
Marine, I've received a report that you haven't reached Bravo team yet. You need to pick up the pace. Can't wait for you. Reaching the communication facility quickly is imperative.
Tightening the scowl on his face, Doomguy stares down the door that will lead to the Alpha Labs and transfers the door control. This is where we are going to make our final descent to the command center. This is where we will be able to find Bravo team, rescue them, bring them out of the Alpha Labs, and they may be reluctant to leave, but he'll simply say, I have shit to take care of. Get everybody out now. And maybe one of them will be like, hey, is it true that your commanding officer wanted you to kill innocent people? They pause, and he just looks at him, and with a look that says, he did, and I feel bad for what I did, but motherfucker had it coming. Something like that. I wouldn't feel so.
The UAC takes pride in
I don't know
its
anyone
safety
who would feel
record.
so.
Please follow UAC procedures.
What's the word I'm looking for? There is no one who would reasonably feel bad for killing or for killing someone who wanted you to kill a bunch of innocent people. Genuinely innocent people. My aim is shit in this section, so we're just gonna move on. But this would be a nice little transition to the classic environments, and the classic music also kicking in just a little bit more too. This is where things start getting more dramatic. This is where the pace really does, as Marine HQ had hoped for, the pace starts picking up, which leads to not a bad transition, huh? But the geometry of the classic games, I think, might need the Mortal Kombat Legends treatment. In that, Mortal Kombat Legends sort of took some of the environments that we are familiar with, some of the stages that we see in the Mortal Kombat universe, and made it an actual environment that people would congregate in. People would actually, like, live and exist in. So, in context for Doom, it may feel more appropriate to sort of just trim some of the spots in these environments that unfortunately just may not belong in an animated format. Yes, it's an adaptation, but only a few liberties need to be taken. That grin is awesome. But all for the sake of making sure that it just feels just a tiny bit more real. Yes, it is a show about one guy mowing down the horde of demons with a pump action shotgun and a funky looking machine gun and a chainsaw. But the geometry is ultimately what allows for animators to create, spaces for combat sequences, all to make sure that it's as entertaining and thorough as possible. That is just my 2 cents on the subject. But here, since we are transitioning from Doom 3 to Doom Classic, he has not just sufficient information for his PDA, but he's also given clearance with the yellow key card for most Phobos lockers. I feel like be a more helpful a more helpful and ideal system. Oh, excuse me, I was yawning. A more ideal and useful system for adapting Doom's environment into an animated format in a cartoon style. Because I mean, just look at this text. It already looks like a cartoon enough. Just take away the HUD and make it make it more cinematic. So some cinematics have the black bars on top or on the side. If we want to keep it as the original aspect ratio of the classic PC, then that's an art style that we can probably get along with nicely. But all this to say that the look and feel of a cartoon will usually determine whether or not people continue and stick around long enough to actually watch it. There's two types of animation that you can get. You can either get the Berserk, I think it was 2016 adaptation that a lot of people didn't like because of the animation, and unfortunately, what I'm hearing, One Punch Man Season 3 as well. Or you can get something more akin to, say, the you have Invincible, you have The Boys Diabolical, and you have pretty much all the DC animated movies like Justice of War, The Death of Superman, shows like that, shows and movies of that sort of and just for John Carmack, it may be necessary to have all of the animation be the crispiest, smoothest, most technologically savvy. Because as you know, he was definitely a major tech head, and more clearly he's more in love with the look and feel of things instead of the actual performance of the game itself and how fun it is, the fun factor. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. And plus, come on now, we've come this far to have shows that are as poorly animated as the Rick and Morty anime. A show that quite literally does not need anime or to be made into one because it already has its own unique art style. But no, we gotta change it a little too much. But for sequences like this, I don't know. It could be a unique little moment in an episode, similar to the Shinobi and Jack fight in Samurai Jack, where Jack turns his gi inside out and becomes a white-clad ninja against a black-garbed Shinobi warrior. Both of them blend into the elements of dark and light, and this section right here might make something interesting for an episode. So you guys let me know if you agree or disagree on that. Incredible music like this also needs the right composer. Now, I already know that Andrew has the IDKFA album, the Classic Doom OST remake, and it's freaking amazing. In my opinion, we should incorporate that with possibly another composer. Who that is completely up to anyone else. But now, finally, going through the Alpha Labs, which would also be the Phobos Labs, Doom Guy must make it to central processing. This is where shit gets real sideways. And for this section, I'm going to do something very fun. You'll see in just a second. I can't tell you guys how thoroughly my toes were curling through that whole experience. That was awesome. And like I said, it wouldn't hurt. Matter of fact, it would be freaking amazing to have incorporate Andrew's IDKFA album in with an adaptation like this, considering the fact that it's such a great remix and remake of the OGs. Now, like I've also said, the geometry in some of these levels are a bit wacky, but I do think that Toxic Sludge should also be a part of the tension that builds every episode. I mean, the rad suits can only take so much of the ever increasing and ever increasing in volume and potency. All of this radiation, which could actually be a pretty cool, pretty neat way to tie in with Doom 64, considering why Doom Guy has to go back to base at all. So, I did have the rocket launcher all this time. That clears things up, and let that be my lesson. Pay attention when I'm recording all of this footage, and go back and look at what I've already done. That being said, it is by this point that Doom Guy has most of the keys and access to the Phobos base. Now, maybe it'd be tedious, but imagine if the Phobos base had explicitly yellow key cards, Demos had explicitly blue key cards at the first, and then the higher level executive offices or stations required red key cards, especially if they control the most dangerous and most important aspects of the facility, such as their life systems and their munitions. Maybe that's a little too much, and you know, it's a show about shooting demons and rocking out. There's really not a whole lot to think about. But maybe that's just it though. Doom's a lot deeper than people get credit for. I mean, he goes to, he's knee deep in the dead for a bunny, an adorable bunny, but a bunny all the same. So why would we convolute things? But that's just the thing. It's not convoluted. It's just adding a layer. It's just adding a layer of depth to an already pretty meaty, pretty deep, lore-filled experience. Or maybe I'm just full of caca. You guys, I'm sure you guys will tell me. This part right here, this would make one hell of a final encounter. Maybe I'm just ass, but man, this encounter also screwed me up. It probably doesn't help that I have auto run on as well, so I'm getting shot up, I'm getting scratched by imps, there are specters that are bombarding me. This right here would be a perfect stage for a berserk power-up. The first berserk power-up that Doom Guy uses, and just absolutely smacks the crap out of all of the demons here, punching them left, right, down, and up, making sure that not a single one of them survive. And maybe my game glitched and I couldn't maneuver today. But this is it. I think the central processing center would obviously have more processing that you can visibly see. But then the computer station. This is where we find out about the tower. This is where we find out about the Phobos Anomaly. When it arrived, what came with it, and hopefully an answer to why. Why is it here? Who sent it? And what is it supposed to do? We can link this to the demonic summoning that was taking place in Doom 3 as a sort of explanation as to why the demons had invaded Phobos and Deimos and Mars, and are now coming to Earth. And suffice to say, the demons can certainly survive in space. We literally see in Doom Eternal the cacodemons and pain elementals flying around on the Phobos, on the deck of the BFG-10K, and they're perfectly fine. So, and so are we, by the way. Doom, the Slayer, ever the Aura Farmer, with exposed muscles and his neck, just sort of killing demons, having a great time. All this to say that for an animated show, do we want to give it some measure of realism that, for the most part, follows the rules of physics, or do we want it to just go completely buck wild and just have an unbelievable amount of fun? That, I think, is purely up to the community, because ultimately, if we can have a hand in our own entertainment, then we all have to come to an agreement as to whether or not it should be buck wild or it should be, generally following the known limits of fiction or limits of physics, because then the suspension of disbelief starts becoming less and less fun. All this to say, though, I think the final touch for this episode, besides obviously what's about to happen, what you're about to see, is Doom Guy finally taking just a breather. Just one hand against the wall, pressing his forehead against it through his helmet, just breathing, trying to compose himself from everything that he has seen. He's a Marine. He should be used to war and the violence that comes with it. But unlike the wars that we as human beings have had with each other, this is a war not merely on survival, but on really dominance, or dominance for the demons, but resistance to the human beings. They're the ones trying to overrun and overtake the base. It is the humans who are, I should say, most of the humans, not the pieces of crap who decided to summon the demons to the base. This is where Doom Guy ultimately chooses. This has to stop. We have to kill them. They will kill us, or we will kill them. It truly is an us versus them dilemma. But also the unholy kind, where Doom Guy has no qualms with destroying the demons because they're demons. They are the damned. They are wretched. They had a chance to be good, and they chose to be evil. So no, to the depths with them. Now, leading to the Phobos Anomaly, how crazy would it be an actual shot of just space, of the stars, maybe Mars in the background, depending on where the moon base is positioned on Phobos, but then it's just all you see is darkness. You see darkness and the very small luminescence of the UV. I'm trying to LED lights. There we go. I cannot English today. I am sorry, everybody. This is where Sign of Evil truly kicks in, though. So this being the Phobos Anomaly, Doomguy carefully and cautiously bears witness to this giant temple that connects the computer station with the anomaly. Why and how? This brimstone, these torches, these little skulls that are just populous, just sort of chilling throughout most of the corridors. Finally, he activates his switch, steps through it, and what does he see? Not one, but two brothers. His map showing him a star. Yes, it's a pentagram. And then two giant red demons who can throw green projectiles step out to fuck him up. But is he scared? Nah, he's got a rocket launcher. It could be a tense fight. It probably should, because they are literally barons of hell. There is no reason to disrespect them so maliciously. That would be one hell of a way to close out the episode, though. Compared to how we're going to close out the episode right here. So, in the outer atmosphere, we can see nothing but pure space. And the space around Doomguy on the base is barely illuminated with torches and LED lights. It is here. He sees a glistening portal. Rocket launcher in hand, he steps through, only to be bombarded and eviscerated. No hope of survival. It would probably end with just a bunch of screams and blood-curdling, guttural noises and explosions. And that is Phobos Anomaly. Thus, we end the episode a little somber. But not all hope is lost. Now, for an animated show, it may not be bad to put this text in maybe 15 seconds of a frame, and then after that, we see Doomguy's body on Deimos on the shores of Hell, and then he just suddenly opens his eyes, looks to his right, looks to his left, and then looks straight up. And then the episode ends. But yep, it stinks like rotten meat. That would be one hell of a way to close out an episode. And there you guys have it. That is my pitch for episode 2 of Doom the UAC Saga. Hope you enjoyed.